So the Baal Shem Tov would be turning today 327, I believe, and the Alter Rebbe is turning 280. Yeah, is that the right math? Yeah, 200. Sorry, 200 and so it'd be excuse my slow take. Yeah, 280, I believe. So let's do the math quickly. Either way, the calculator is not available. So the question is, what do we learn about how do we apply about the Baal Shem Tov today? Yes, 280, and the Alter Rebbe today in our time, and it's also Parshas Kisavi. Many times Parshas Kisavi falls on Chayel, sometimes even on the Shabbos of Chayel. Today's Hayom Yom is the Hayom Yom of Chayel is all about the Torah that the Rebbe Rashab heard in Shemayim in heaven from on the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, the famous Torah of V'haya ki savayu al aretz, that a person has to know that their life has a mission. Ki savayu, you have to go to the mission. You have to go to the ratzon, you have to go to the want that Hashem has for you, and you have to know that wherever you are in life, wherever you find yourself in a physical, spiritual, emotional space, you have to know you're sent there for a reason. The Shakin Shmai Sham, to bring God's name there. We don't go. We're not survivors. We're people with a mission. People with a mission are sent, and sometimes we know why we're sent. Sometimes we don't know why we're sent, but that doesn't change the facts. And that's the Baal Shem Tov first said. The Baal Shem Tov says is that if you want to reach the purpose of life, your purpose of life, the Ratzain, the want, the eretz that Hashem has for you, is you have to go to the Malkaim, the Shakin Shmai Sham. You have to make sure that you go to the place that's destined for you. And sometimes you go there, sometimes you end up there. But whenever you are, you think to yourself, how am I going to be the Shakin Shmai Sham? How am I going to bring down God's name? Like the Baal Shem Tov continues, the Samta Batena, you have to take Oiris V'Kalim. You have to do it in a grounded way, in a way that's acceptable, respectful, and a receptacle for the light. Make sure that you have people that you're able to be effective, and that's the Torah of the Baal Shem Tov, and that's Chayel, and this is the month of Elul. Also, we know the Rebbe always said, scary thought that we're holding Chayel already. That from the 18th of Elul, we start to do a cheshbon and nefesh month by month, and if we have to close our eyes and think, what are we trying to fix in the month of Tishrei? The month of Tishrei is a month of blessings. The month of Tishrei is a month of blessings. Is a month where we have Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Hashanah Rabbah, Simchas Torah, Sukkot, Shabbos Bereshis. That's all in the month. Hey, Dr. Susan. That's all the brachas of Tishrei. And Chai Elul is a time that we connect with the month of Tishrei, because we're supposed to examine what are the things that we could fix of Tishrei. And there's a famous Habreng, and the Rebbe said in Parshas in Chai Elul 1950, Tafshin Yud. And 6 months or so before the Rebbe accepted leadership, after the passing, 6 months after the passing of the Frierdiker Rebbe, Mamish halfway in that halfway point, and the Rebbe spoke about Chayel, and the Rebbe said that the Rebbe makes a cheshbon on Chayel. And what's the Rebbe's cheshbon on Chayel? What is the Rebbe's evaluation that he has to evaluate about himself? Is about all the brachas that a Yid gets from the Nasi Hadar, right? The tzaddik of the Dar, the Nasi Hadar, is a Nasi who are called. The Nasi includes all the neshamas of the generations are included in the soul of the Nasi. And when it comes Rosh Hashanah, it comes the month of Tishrei, when the tzaddik of the generation, the Moshe Rabbeinu of the generation, is v'nesati Esav v'sadchel v'amtecha, that he gives a bracha, and he gives brachas and gashmias, and gives brachas and ruchnias, and benches everyone with the ksiva v'chsima tova, good gebenched yar, and gives lekach, gives honey cake, and gives his lulav and esrig, and gives simcha. So he has obligations. The Nasi has an obligation to the Chassidim. and to Klal Yisrael. And the Cheshbon and Nefesh that the Rebbe makes on Chayel, that the Nasi makes on Chayel. And again, this is the birthday of the two great Nesiim of the Baal Shem Tov and the Alter Rebbe, is that if I have any obligations to my Chassidim, is there maybe a Chassid that got a bracha that didn't actualize yet? It's ready almost the end of the year. So the Rebbe has to make a Cheshbon and Nefesh, the Rebbe himself says. I'm just repeating the Rebbe's words of his obligations to the Chassidim and and Klal Yisrael. So it's an mamish, an amazing day that if anyone hasn't yet felt or hasn't have in the completion yet all the blessings of the past year, you know that the Rebbe today is making a Cheshbon and Nefesh, and the Rebbe is saying, "Oi, Chaim Yisach, I forget. He still needs this. He still needs this thing, and Pinchas still needs that thing, and Mendy still needs this thing, and Dr. Haken still needs that thing, and Matthew needs that, and whoever else is watching." The Nasi Adar says, "Oi, we have to make sure that we before the end of the year." We give them the bracha they need in Gashmis, in Ruchnis, in Gesund, in Parnasa, in happiness, in finding the zivuk in the right time. So we have all these. We have it's Chayel, the time we start doing Cheshbon Nefesh, and we also have to do a Cheshbon Nefesh. We also have to calculate, not just expect the Rebbe to do one, but do our own Cheshbon Nefesh with the resolutions we made in Tishrei. When it came Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and we sat before HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we said. We made promises and we made commitments. We made achlatas, resolutions. How are we doing with those? How did we do with those? It's time for us to make calculation also. How much simcha did we have? The month of Tishrei is the end of the month of Tishrei is the month of simcha. Is the Chag of Simcha, the Chag of Sukkot, which is v'samachta b'chagecha, Simchas Torah, Shabbos Bereishis, which is a huge Shabbos, and we have a verse in this week's Parsha to support that. This week's Parsha says that anything negative that happens is ta'achas esher le'ivadita Hashem b'simcha b'tuv le'vav. Negativity comes from a lack of simcha. Like the Alter Rebbe explains, which is his birthday today, the Alter Rebbe explains that the lack of simcha is not a punishment. You're not punished for not having simcha. But it's like a person who jumps. And if a person jumps, so if you're going to jump from a high place and you're going to fall down, you're going to hurt yourself. And someone says, why didn't you put on paddings? Why didn't you put on support? Why didn't you, you forgot to hook the bungee, what's a bungee? And you hold the string that you jump. You forgot to hook it up to the imagine you're going bungee jumping. If you got to hook the string onto you, the rubber band, whatever it is, you'd fall and hurt yourself. Break your feet, chas v'shal. So the person says, why didn't you tie on? Why didn't you connect? So it's that simcha. A person falls down, does a virus. So Hashem says, but why didn't you have simcha? If you would have simcha, had you had simcha, then you wouldn't hurt yourself. You wouldn't fall down. You jump. You try to hurt yourself. Maybe you did it by mistake. Maybe you did it on purpose. But you won't hurt. Nothing will get hurt. Nothing will get broken because you had simcha. Simcha gives wings to a person. Simcha parts together. Simcha breaks the boundaries. So Chaim, everyone, the resolution that we have to make tonight and Chayel. On the Parsha of Simcha, and we're doing a Cheshbon Nefesh for the month that ends with Simcha, and everything goes according to the end. Everything goes after how the completion. And the completion of the month of Tishrei is a Simcha. Why? Because they were Zeicha B'din. The Simcha and like the Torah says that, and we've spoke about this many times. The Torah quotes and says that why does a Jewish person wear white clothing on Erev Rosh Hashanah? Because we're confident. We're confident we're going to be Zocha B'din. We know before we even go to judgment, we know that we met the King already in the field. We know that He knows us. He's familiar with us. Not only that, He already knows all our problems. He knows all our needs, and He knows all our weaknesses. And He already Himself. It's like imagine you sat down with the King. You sit down with the King, and the King says, how can I help you? He says, I'm going soon to see Your Majesty in a private audience. I'm terrified. Now you're in your weekday clothes, in your golfing clothes, you're relaxed. The King is relaxed. I'm terrified. I'm going to go see you in a few days, in a few weeks. On Rosh Hashanah, I'm terrified. So the King says, never mind that. Let's sit down and together and write a note to the King that I'm going to help you write the note. I'm going to help you write the note to prepare your conversation, your message, your plea to the king. So like this, it'd be makubal. It's going to be acceptable. So imagine the king himself is helping you write the note to himself. He says, what's your problems? What do you need? What are your chesronos? What do you need strength in? What do you need to do tshuva in? What's the reasons? And now you can have a conversation. You're not intimidated. So that's all the month of Elul. So therefore, when it comes to Erev Rosh Hashanah, you're holding your paper, your pan, you're getting ready to go into the king. But the king himself helped you prepare for this moment. The king sat with you alone and listened to all your problems and heard all your chesronos, all the things that you need fixing, the tikkunim. And he told you and he helped you find those tikkunim. So now you're going to the king, it's almost a formality. So you put on your best suit and your best tie because you're going to be Zaycha B'Din. And so too the Torah says the Jewish people walk into Rosh Hashanah with confidence. We know we're going to be Zaycha B'Din. And it says Sukkot. So why do we walk out with a lulav? A lulav is like a sword. Like if anyone has been to London, so you see the king's guards, right? You walk with these big rifles to show like that's a sign of victory, of strength. And we walk out on Sukkot with our swords, with our lulavim. It's brought down to show that we know that we were Zoich B'Din, Didan Notzach. We were victorious. So the Simcha, it says V'gila Bir'ada, that already we have joy in Rosh Hashanah, but we have the fear. It's hidden. The Chesa, it's B'Kesa, it's hidden in Rosh Hashanah, but it's revealed B'Yom Chagenu. So it's not that the beginning of the month is scary or negative, and only the end of the month of Simcha. There's real Simcha the whole month of Tishrei. The only thing is that the end of the month it's revealed Simcha until the revelation of Simcha Star and Shabbos Bereshis. So comes now the Echayel, where we have to remember how much Simcha did we have on Tishrei, and how much Simcha did we have throughout the year from Tishrei? How much energy did we draw? When we had challenges and difficulties in our life, did we draw on the Simcha that we had, that we know we have to have from Tishrei? Like, so this is this week's Parsha. It's clear. Tachas Hashem b'simcha. You didn't put the padding on. So l'chaim, everyone. We're going to make resolutions. We have 12 days left to Tishrei. We have 12 days left to Rosh Hashanah, and we're still in the year Tavshin Pei Hey. We haven't gone into Pei Vav. So we have to make a resolution. Hey Peter, we have to make a resolution that it's going to be the next 12 days are going to be days of simcha, days of meaning. We're going to be active. We're going to go kisavayu al arts. We know we have a mission, and we can v'samta b'tana. We take it and we put it into the basket, like the mitzvah of bikurim. We take the reishis tfuasa, the first of the fruit. We take our best energies. We don't give Hashem only what's left over from a tired day, or what's left over from what's left over from exhaustion. We give Hashem reishis to us, so we give Hashem the best of our fruit, the first of our fruit. It says a yid would go down to the field and hold a gumi, hold like a thread, and tie the thread onto the first fruit to say, oh, this is how I'm going to be Mekayim the mitzvah, even before you bring it. So l'chaim, you have to finish l'chaim. I see Pinchas is holding his cup up. L'chaim, simcha for the rest of the year. Simcha to everyone. Simcha for the rest of the year. With solid resolutions for simcha for next year. L'chaim. I found very interesting this morning, walking over here to the class, on the way to the mikvah, of course, was that there's actually a connection today between the three great giants of the founders of Chassidus, the Baal Shem Tov, the Maggid, and the Alter Rebbe. We know there's a famous song, the Shalosh Tanois. That's a song that's authored by the three. The Alter Rebbe would call. When he's referred to the father, his father was the Maggid, and his the Zayda was the Baal Shem Tov. The Alter Rebbe would call the Baal Shem Tov his Zayda because he met him on his birthday, or around his birthday. I think it was on his birthday. He met him when he turned 3. The Baal Shem Tov cut the Alter Rebbe's hair. And the Baal Shem Tov was very careful that the Alter Rebbe would not meet the Baal Shem Tov. He wouldn't even know who he is. That was a condition that he told his parents, Reb Baruch and his mother. And what was her name? Reb Rivka, I believe. Yeah. It was Shnerzam ben Rivka. Rivka. Rachel was the Baal Shem Tov's wife. think. And he said that, they said they want him to at least, he begged the Baal Shem Tov to let bring him to the Baal Shem Tov to cut his hair. So the father wasn't, the Baruch wasn't allowed to go, but his wife and his aunt, I believe it was her sister, took the Alter Rebbe as a little boy to the Baal Shem Tov. And afterwards, he kept on asking, who's that old man? Who's that man who cut my hair? So they didn't want to tell him the Baal Shem Tov. So they said, it's your Zayda. And the Alter Rebbe would always call the Baal Shem Tov his Zayda. And so what's the connection between the three Avos of Chassidus, the three fathers of Chassidus, is that today is the birthday of the Baal Shem Tov, the Shnas Nachas, and the Baal Shem Tov, and the birthday of the Alter Rebbe Shnas Kahasibli. And today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe quotes in today's Tanya that, like the Rebbe mentioned many times, that the Tanya is very bashkacha pratis. The Tanya Yoimi, the Tanya we say every day is not just because you have so many pages and so many chapters and so many books of the Tanya, right? The Tanya is made up of a few volumes, and you have to divide it from Yutas Kislev to Yutas Kislev. So you have to pick, 5 lines here, 10 lines there, and the Alter and the Frierdiker Rebbe set up the Tanya in such a way that there was enough of a study, sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, for every single day of the year. But the Rebbe quoted in 1950 that there was very much bashkacha pratis, how exactly what day fell out, what Tanya, wasn't by chance. Although seemingly you would say, well, we're at the end of the year, or towards the end of the year, getting ready for Yutas Kislev in a few months. So the chances are that you're going to be at the end of the Tanya. But the Chassidus doesn't accept that, especially on the day of the Baal Shem Tov, when the Baal Shem Tov was one who taught us about the details of Hashkacha Pratis, that even how a leaf moves is by Hashkacha Pratis. Not just that it has to move, but how it moves. So surely a Tanya, which is so special, Yomi, is connected today. And what's the Tanya Yomi of Chai Elul? The Tanya Yomi of Chai Elul is the Alter Rebbe quotes his teacher, right? The Magid of Mizrich, and he says that he explains that the Chesed, again, very much connected to Chai Elul, the Chesed of Avram Avinu. So he says that why the Alter Rebbe quotes like this. He says, why do we say? Find that Tanya Yomi. He says. He starts off the Tanya, that's how he starts off today's Tanya. In order to understand, I first have to explain what I heard from my teacher. And what did he hear from his teacher? That when Avram said, Vanoichi ofer ve'efer, that I'm like dust and ash. So he was talking about, the Maggid says he was talking about that the Midah, the attribute of Avram, which is Chesed. Avram was a person, it was Chesed. He was all about the kindness. Avram says that my kindness is like ash to the kindness of the attribute of kindness of Chesed, Atzilus, of Chesed Atzilus. Why? So the Baal Shem Tov, so the Maggid explains, what does that mean that Avram Avinu is he's not just, he was talking low and humble. There's actually an idea there, because when you have something like a tree is made up of the 4 elements, Eish, Mayim, Ruach, Afar. And if you take the fire, wind, water, and earth, and in everything that exists is made up of those 4 elements, and there's a special code, the Koach Hayuli of every existence, that takes those 4 elements and makes up something different. Sometimes it's a rock, sometimes it's a tree. So the Alter Rebbe says like a tree. The reason a tree has a huge, beautiful tree in the field, in the forest, is it has the 4 components of fire, water, wind, and earth, and the main part is the earth. That's what you could touch. A little bit of water, but you could touch the earth. So why does it look like a tree? Because when you put those components together, it makes up a tree. But what happens if you take out the 3 components of water, fire, and earth? Sorry, water, fire, and air. All you have is the dirt, and it collapses. There's no more image of a tree. And so Avram Avinu was saying that's how different, and even much more than that. is my kindness to the kindness of Hashem. Avram was kind to everyone. He never asked you what your politics were. He never asked you what your religion was. He didn't ask, all he asked you was to thank Hashem. He gave the Arab, he gave the passerby, this passerby, and it says according to different midrashim, his passway house, whatever you want to call it, an inn or a pundak they call it. Kind of. He had a little in the desert. He had this oasis in the desert, Avram's oasis, that people could come and have a rest and have food. And he not only did he bring food and so to say and lodging for people to rest, but he also set up all kind of institutions that people would need on the road, whether it is a judge, right? If someone came in and says, I'm coming back with my partner on a business trip, we have a disagreement on the way, he says, fine, perfect, there's a special room. Avram sat down as the judge. He had a court, he had everything, all necessities, anything you can need. Why? Because Avram was chesed. And Avram says, my chesed is like, if you had to compare dust to a tree, right? The tree also has the earth. That's why it's a tree. But it's missing any form. It's not brought into, it has no shape. It's missing 3 of the 4 elements. So to Avram says, my chesed has almost like no shape to the chesed of Hashem. So this is today's Tanya. So we see clearly that there's a connection in Chayel between all the 3 Rebbes, because the Alter Rebbe quotes his teacher in Chayel. And he includes him in the Yom Tov of Chayel, in the birthday, in his birthday, in the Baal Shem Tov's birthday. And this is not just the Chayel, it's not just for the Baal Shem Tov, but the Baal Shem Tov also had many things happened on his birthday. He met his teacher, Achia Shaloni. We know there's a tradition. It's an amazing tradition. And it's not just a tradition that you say is like a mystical tradition. There's literally when the Rambam, I said this many times because it's fascinating. When the Rambam, everyone talks about Elijah the prophet. Elijah the prophet it's a fascinating idea because he goes up to heaven in his body and he stayed around for thousands of years. They have Gili Eliyahu, right? And he's busy, and the Gemara tells us he goes here and he goes there and he does this and he does that. Reb Shua ben Levi tried to keep up with him. He couldn't keep up with him. Reb Shua ben Levi says, I want to spend the day with the Eliyahu Navi. Spend the day at home. Sometimes the children have a thing, well, spend the day with my father. So Reb Shua ben Levi says, I want to spend the day with Elijah the prophet. And what's Elijah the prophet do? He's very busy. He confused him. He kills the cow and he didn't understand what he's doing because he didn't have the understanding to see the bigger picture. When he thought that Eliyahu Navi was hurting someone, he didn't realize that Eliyahu Navi was helping someone because he only saw it from his eyes. We see sometimes things from our own eyes. We can't see past it. He was wondering, why would you hurt? There's a poor person. Why would you kill their cow? Eliyahu comes and kills the cow. That's their only parnasa. He couldn't understand. So Eliyahu Navi said that, and the only problem was that Eliyahu Navi made a condition with him. He can only go on a trip with him. He doesn't ask any questions. So finally he says, what, I'm calling off this trip. I can't do it anymore. I'm too confused, but you have to answer me. So he said, I killed the cow because it was decreed in heaven that he would lose his wife. And I was able to substitute that his wife should stay with him and he should just lose a little bit of his parnasa. That he could always find a new parnasa, but he can't find. He has a loving wife. He wants to be with his wife. He wants to be specifically with her. You can always find another means of source of parnasa. So you don't always see the whole picture. And although we have to have toiv and irva nigla, it's not good enough to have that the pain sometimes we suffer should be a better pain. That like the Rebbe says about Rabbi Akiva, that koman david rachamanu l'tav of it. There has to be a good reason. It has to be gamzula tov. We have to see the good in everything, not just to know that there's a better good, but there's actually good. But everyone talks about Eliyahu Navi. But who is the teacher of Eliyahu Navi? The Rambam tells us that the teacher of Eliyahu Navi is Achia Shaloni. And the Rambam writes in Sefer Hayad, Sefer Halachas, that he didn't have to say this. No one would question him who Achia Shaloni is. He's in the Navi. Achia Shaloni is the prophet. Makes sense that he's the teacher of Eliyahu, right? Because he anoints Yeravim ben Nevat. He's in the lifetime of Solomon. And when the Rambam says that David gave it to Achia Shaloni gave over the tradition of Torah to Eliyahu Navi, everyone would be fine. The Rambam's not satisfied with that. The Rambam tells us a piece of information that's seemingly not necessary. He says, Achia Shiloni's miyotzim Mitzrayim. Achia Shiloni left Egypt. Means he left Egypt to the Jewish people. And he was Makabel Torah from Moshe Rabbeinu as a young boy, a young man. And he lived all the way till the passing of Shlomo HaMelech. And so the Rambam is telling us, Achia Shiloni, we see clearly, that's already 800 years, not 800, let's say 500 years. It's a long time. And he lived that long, but the idea is Achia Shiloni is still alive. He's still doing things. And he's the teacher of the Baal Shem Tov. He taught the Baal Shem Tov. When the Baal Shem Tov says, Moiri Rabbi, my teacher, who is he referring to? Achia Shiloni. He was the keeper of the secrets of Torah. And when did he reveal himself to the Baal Shem Tov? On Chayel. And when did the Baal Shem Tov reveal himself to the world? It was also Chayel. So today's Mamash is an amazing day. It's the beginning of, and the revelation of the Baal Shem Tov is directly connected to the coming of Mashiach. When's Mashiach going to come? So today is a very big day. It's Chayel. So today for Simcha, again, like Tachas Hashem Levad Hashem Simcha. It's a day that we make Cheshbon and Nefesh on the month of Tishrei. It's the month of Simcha, and we have all the koiches of this week's all the brachas. Although the Parsha doesn't have only brachas, but the opening of the Parsha has these tremendous brachas. God to look down from heaven and bless the Jewish people. So we start to really bless each other, coming now into Chayel with the Ksiva Chsim Tov, a good bench jar. And we make now resolutions solid. First, we do a tikkun for lacking any simcha. Tachas Hashem simcha, and the simcha, the resolutions that we took last Tishrei, and the commitments and the promises we made to God last Tishrei. We have to see what we could fix some things. We didn't fulfill our obligations. And like the Rebbe says, like that the Rebbe himself made obligations to us, that he has to make sure that he's going to bless everyone. Starting right now, we don't have to wait to Rosh Hashanah, that we should be able to finish off this year, that this year will have all the brachas, and if it takes that a quick shot of energy because there is something lacking, and we have ad bli dai, God blesses us until we could say enough. There's no such thing as enough. We have more blessings because we have purpose. We take the oiris, bring into the basket, and Makadashem Shemaim, we go the Shakin Shemai Sham. We know our mission in life. So this is a parsha where there's the way we walk away from Kisavai. The parsha where we enter into things. We enter into the land. We enter into the Ratzin. We enter into our purpose. That we're mamish light-footed, and we have a focus, and we have strength, and we have simcha, and we have the power to bring blessings in every part of our life. And we take the next 12 days and we take advantage of them to fix all the things from the past year and make resolutions for the good year. And we should all see mamish today and Klal Yisrael as a whole and the world as a whole. Right? There's so much negativity out there. A person who was an Oyev Yisrael from the Hasidim Umas Olam was killed a few hours ago in Utah, and he was a good person. Mamish, you could see when you listened to him. I wasn't so familiar with him before last night, a few hours ago. But Parsha, a person that was a good person all around, a person of positivity. The Hashem like we learned in the Gemara, that the Hasidim Umas Olam also are here to experience the days of Mashiach, the resurrection of the dead. That should be that those great Gentiles, righteous Gentiles, should come back with the Mashiach, and we should all experience Chayel again. There's no more of an auspicious day on the day of the Baal Shem Tov, the day of the Alter Rebbe. I just want to finish off one thing before I finish the class. Matthew's going to tell us about Shabbos Chayel in University District Minyan. But I saw a letter of the Baal Shem Tov's daughter. The Baal Shem Tov had a daughter. Her name was Odel. And Odel was a tremendous woman. And they have a letter that she wrote. She writes like this. I just like to share a few things that she writes about her father. She says, hold on. She says like this. They asked Odel about, this is how she finishes off her letter. I'll first say what she writes. She said, she wrote in Yiddish. She said, tell things about my father. What could you say about my father? So she writes like this. She writes, I can write a bishul. She uses a shin from the hanhagis, from the customs of my father. He would, when he went to sleep, he always went to sleep the first half of the night, and he wouldn't go to sleep the second half of the night. He would sleep the first, he was out the second half. So he said, sorry, he would always sleep the second half of the night. He'd go to sleep from chatzos till 7:00. So she thought, why? Tzaddikim usually are up the second half of the night for tikkun chatzos. And so the Baal Shem Tov answered her that the fixing of the second half of the night has been fixed already. The early part of the night, when things start to get dark, that needs fixing. So a lot of times we attack, we try to fix, the deep of the dark. It's really from midnight till the morning. Baal Shem Tov says that already we fixed. We didn't fix how it turned into night, why the night started. Where did things go wrong in the first place? So the Baal Shem Tov says now generation is to fix the first part of the night. And the second thing that she said was that he always went to the mikveh. And she said also, he never took a nap during the day unless it was Friday. And he also said, she said, that he never went ahead of the time. He always had a seder. It means he didn't, if he had something to learn like the Zohar, for 1 week, he learned it that week. And if he finished it, he learned it again. He wouldn't start learning next week's Zohar because he says everything has a seder. You have to keep the seder, which is also very important. And she finishes off just to share a Torah of the Baal Shem Tov on his birthday. We're ready to set a little bit of a Torah from the Alter Rebbe, from the Tanya today. And she says, this is how she finishes her letter. Divrei Odul Bas Harava Baal Shem Tov, Ziyami Mezebush. These are the words of Odul, the daughter of the Baal Shem Tov. So again, Schusim of these great tzaddikim, I want to wish everyone that everyone should have everything they need. You have simcha, you're going to break all the boundaries and good resolutions and good results. And if you shouldn't have to come on to Eliyahu Navi's stories that this happened, that happened, we should see Torah Vanir Vanigla in a good revealed way. Chaim, everyone, thank you for joining. Matthew.
Chaim,
Peter.
Now we can talk.
Go ahead, Peter. Matthew.
The rabbi said that tonight, and it's correct.
You're not coming over clear.
I'm not coming over clear?
You are.
Okay, let's try it again. Rabbi said that tonight's Elul, and because it's Elul, we in the Hasidus movement, especially in Chabad Hasidus, make sure to have a Farbrengen. But we have a class tonight, so we're going to move the Farbrengen to tomorrow night. So 6 p.m. at the shul, we have a Farbrengen.
Lovely.
Rabbi Dr. Trachman and everybody else is inviting you to come and join us at the Farbrengen. Chef Cole, as usual, is going to make some delicious food. We don't know what the menu is yet because I wasn't privy to that information, but I'm sure it's going to be good. And of course, right after that comes Friday and Shabbos. And of course, come to services, come to shul. We're going to have great services. I will not be at the University District Minyan this Shabbos. I will be at CSTL, but I highly encourage everybody to go. I will be prepping for Shabbos, so I'll be buying the food and prepping the stuff for Kiddush. So there will be a wonderful Kiddush. Some of you may already know what I've brought already this week, but there's more coming. And of course, amazing Kiddush, amazing service, amazing everything. Shabbos is a special place, a special time. So come and join us.
Matthew, everyone, thank you all for joining. Great to see you all. Happy Chayel again, and we'll be in touch next week, Be'ez Hashem.